Guys, this thing is next level small. Look at this. What is this? He doesn't even know if I'm filming. So you are looking to purchase an MR2. Hey, what's going on everyone? If you're new to the channel, my name's Rex and we're gonna talk about everything to do with purchasing an MR2. What you wanna look for when you're buying one, the things that you want to make sure that the car does not have, for example, rust, and the process that I went through when buying an MR2. Now you gotta be really careful buying these cars because they do have quite a few issues with them. But yeah, that's all we're gonna talk about today. And of course, the mandatory walk around, that's of course how we're gonna have to start today's video. If you're already a subscriber of my channel, you know exactly what MR2 we're dealing with here. This is my 1997 SW20 Bathurst MR2. It's currently got an engine swap, so it's far from stock. However, I did buy this car in pretty much stock format, so I know exactly what to look for. And I get a ton of messages from you guys to do with buying these cars. Questions like, should I buy this car as my first car? Stuff like that, and we're gonna cover all of that in today's video. So sit back, relax, get that cup of coffee, and enjoy. Screw that tripod, I'm just gonna take you around where I'm going. But the first thing you wanna look for is rust. That's the biggest problem with these cars. They can have a little bit of rust, you know, underneath all the under panels where the radiator support is. One of the biggest things that you wanna look out for is rust in this little sill down here. So there's a foam piece behind one of these panels that you can remove from the interior, which you need to remove if you do own an SW20. Mine is thankfully already removed before I bought the car, but over time that little foam piece soaks up water and eventually causes rust. So before we continue the video, I want to say that all these tips can be applied to purchasing any secondhand car, so just keep that in mind if you are in the market of purchasing a secondhand car. So yes, that's the big thing with MR2s. You want to check all the under panels, you want to look underneath the car as much as you possibly can when looking at it and inspecting it to see if there's any sort of rust. If there is, make sure that it's fixable, because if it's not, you're going to have the toughest time. I mean, go look at Mighty Car Mods and their MR2. They had a horrible time.
God, his car's just falling apart onto me.
Now, luckily in Australia, we don't actually have the issue of too much rust because we don't have snow on our roads, so there's no use of salt or anything that could be damaging to metal on cars. So usually the cars in Australia are rust-free, and that's really lucky for us. Now, the next biggest thing with these cars is the Targa seals. They are the worst thing ever. I really hope that there's a fix for them one day, like a cheap sort of like rubber replacement, but that's probably not gonna happen. They're all like OEM and super expensive, but the Targa seals on these cars leak over time. To remove these Targas, all you need to do is come in here. There's like a little notch on the bottom to take out this sunshade, and there's like a little push thing, so you push that forward and then you pull the lever down and then you can take the Targa top off. So after checking for rust, this is the second thing that you want to do when looking for an MR2. You want to check under here and have a look at the seal conditions. You want to see if they're pitted at all, if they're cut anywhere. You want to make sure that they're nice and flat all the way around and they don't have any cuts in them. However, sometimes they don't actually present any sort of issues here. Sometimes they look really good and they don't have any sort of pitting or anything, but they still leak. So to see if they're leaking, of course, you want to get a water bucket or a hose and you want to spray directly at the sun cover. You want to spray in the corners, these corners specifically, because they have the most issues here. And you want to have a friend sitting inside to see if it's leaking anywhere.
Pouring in.
Now, if you're lucky enough, you'll have no leaks, but if you're unlucky enough, there actually is a way that you can fix them without buying brand new seals. You can put some sealant on here, which the previous owner of this car did, and it works perfectly. There's no leaks on this side. However, on the other side, there's starting to be a few leaks, only when there's pressure applied directly in one singular spot. But yeah, I don't really have an issue with the Targa leaks, so we're all good in that category. So you've looked for rust, you look for Targa seals, and everything's checking out, but now you need to look under the engine, where the engine is, because the stock engines on these cars leak a ton of oil. Lachlan nicknamed my car the oil sieve because it leaked so much oil when I had a 4-cylinder in there. You want to walk around here, you want to get your knees on the ground, you're going to pull your hair back, no, I'm just kidding. You want to look underneath the car, and you want to make sure that there's no oil leaks anywhere, because if there is, they're really hard to work on. If the oil leak is anywhere around the timing belt, then that's going to be a pain in the ass, because to get the timing belt out of these cars, you have to tilt the engine, and that's not something that many people can do at home. So make sure this thing doesn't have any oil leaks, otherwise you will be in for a problem later. If you're like me, you wouldn't care about any of the oil leaks because you would just take the engine out and put a V6 in there or any other engine, because these cars have a plethora of options for you to pick from. You can put like 3 different Camry engines in there, you can put K20s, you can do whatever you want. These cars have a lot of engine room in the back. I myself knew that I was going to V6 swap my car, so I don't really care about any of the oil leaks. I just wanted to be able to get it home from Sydney. Yeah, all I did was just chuck a V6 in there and, you know, sealed it up before it went in, and we're all good. So just do that. The swap only cost me like $2 which is extremely cheap for an engine swap. That's something you gotta do. So you put your knees on the ground, you've gone underneath the engine, and you've had a look for oil leaks, and everything's checking out. The car's all good. It's the dream car. Everyone wants one of these babies. That's why they're going up in value, which is why you should pick up one right now. So you've checked the rust, you've checked the targa leaks, you've done this, you've done that. Now, of course, is to test drive the car. The first thing you want to be looking out for is any clunks, any sort of feel in the steering, like, you know, does it feel bad? You know, like, does it feel good? If it doesn't feel good, don't buy it. And if there's no clunks, then feel the transmission. If you're getting a manual 5-speed, they're notorious for grinding in like every single gear. When I bought mine, it grinded in 2nd. When Lachlan bought his, it grinded in 2nd and 3rd. When Andrew bought his, it grinded in 4th. Now this can be fixed by putting in some Redline MT90. MT90 is like the best fluid for gearboxes in MR2s. I have no idea why, but that's just how it is. You can't really go anything else than that, otherwise you will eventually just have issues with your synchros. If it's grinding a lot, MT90 is not going to fix your transmission. If it's grinding a little bit, then you might get away with it. So yeah, just make sure you look for any sort of grinding and stuff in the MR2 transmissions. Well, hopefully you don't feel like that in all gears, you know? Like, hopefully you only feel it in like one, otherwise, I'm sorry man, you're gonna have a shit time. Intermission! So yes, this video is definitely aimed towards telling you guys what to look at before purchasing one of these MR2s, but let's talk about why exactly you should purchase an MR2. Let's talk about the fact that it's a mid-engine sports car. It handles amazingly, it looks amazing, it performs amazing. You can do a handful of mods to these cars on the budget and get some insane results. If you're not in Australia, they're actually very cheap. In America, you can buy them for peanuts. In England, you can buy them for peanuts. For some reason, Australians are just like, you know, making the value of these cars skyrocket to the roof. When I bought mine, it was $7,900 I bought it for. Now I could definitely sell mine for upwards of 13 or 14. Buy one now. Did I forget to mention that it has pop-up headlights? Pop-up headlights, baby! The best thing in the world. Now, maybe before you test drive the vehicle, you need to come around here. You need to stick your hand down here, and there's a little lever. You just pull on it, and this opens up the engine compartment. You want to pull this up, grab this, and there's a little spot in the engine bay where it says rod, and you just chuck that in there. Now, of course, this is going to look very different to this. You're going to have a 4-cylinder in here. I currently have a V6, but again, when you look at the engine bay, you want to look for anything dodgy. You want to look for anything that doesn't seem like it should be there. Now, of course, it might seem very obvious, but you want to check for any leaks, of course. If there's any sort of like white buildup, that'll tell you if there's any coolant leaks. If there's any oil leaks, you'll see it being really dirty and sludgy. So you want to make sure that all of that is clear. And a good thing to look out for as well, if it has coilovers, you just check above these little strut bits here. So the MR2 came out in 5 revisions, revision 1 to 5 in this SW20 body. Now, of course, 1 being the oldest and 5 being the most revised, the best one out of all of them, I reckon. If you do planning on getting this as your first car, I would highly recommend getting a Rev 3 and above. So that's a 1993 MR2 or above, because they have a revised steering feel, a revised suspension feel, and they prevent, of course, snap oversteer. If you reckon you're not going to be an idiot when you first buy this car, then man, go for it. It's going to be great. This car is a fantastic driver. You do have to treat these cars with a little bit of respect. You can't send it around every single corner because it will snap out on you, it will go sideways, and it is pretty hard to catch. But like I said, with enough practice, you can do it. You've seen in some of my videos of controlling oversteer in this thing. Even though it does have an open differential, it's not that bad. But like I said, you got to treat these cars with heaps of respect when you're driving them. So like I said, you got to look out for this shifter here. When I got my car, it was grinding in 2nd gear a little bit, so I actually ended up completely changing that one out and getting a whole new transmission. So make sure you check if this thing grinds. Just gotta feel it. If it doesn't grind, then you're good. Sounding good. Damn. We're just heading to our local Woolies because I'm grabbing a drink of orange juice. Gotta stay healthy and, you know, gotta hydrate. So yeah, gotta do that. If you're liking the video, chuck us a like. Helps me out quite a lot, more than you think. And if you're new to the channel, just, if you're watching this, there's a subscribe button just down below. Just click that, yeah? Yes, yes. $3.20 for OJ. Did I get scammed? I can't even complain. I'm the one. I'm the one who bought it. It's good stuff though. So we're back at the Rex H garage. I got Lachlan's MR2, my MR2, and I thought that I'd ask Lachlan for what to look out for when purchasing an MR2, as he is also a fellow MR2 owner. What do you reckon?
Make sure it's not written off.
Oh yes. Oh.
Do a pre-purchase inspection.
So there's a thing called a PPSR. You can get them done for $2, and it pretty much goes over everything, all the history with your car. So it has a look at if your car's been in an accident, if it's been written off. Unfortunately, we didn't do that when we bought Lachlan's MR2, and we found out later that it had been in an accident. Definitely do that before you get an MR2. I guess the last tip that we can talk about is making sure that you have a complete MR2. So there are various things that go missing on MR2s for whatever reason. People decide to take them off and sell them and do other things. I have no idea why, but one thing to look out for is fog lights. They're very easy to take off. They're 2 bolts, so you got to make sure that you got those. You want to make sure that all your lights are working, your pop-up headlights are working. Just go around and turn all the switches around, push all the buttons and make sure they all work, because the last thing you want to do is come home with a broken MR2 even though you just bought one. Also, just to mention here, these are Kuki taillights. These are more desirable. They look much better than the Zenki taillights. Buy an MR2 with these taillights. I think they look way better and you'll appreciate them more. Mine are a little bit faded. Lachlan actually has some better condition Kuki taillights, so
You gotta expose me with the weight-saving duct tape on the side here.
oh yes, never mind. Lachlan doesn't have the better cookies. So before we conclude today's video, I quickly want to tell you that there is merch coming out soon. I believe that there'll be a link down below. You'll be able to see some of the stuff that you'll be able to purchase. We're going to be selling merch in the Rex HYT store very soon. I'm sorry that it's taking so long. It is definitely quite a process. And in the meantime, while that's all happening, Lachlan and I are putting this 1MZ back together. That'll be the next video. This thing's all nearly done. We have that all there, and we're going to be finishing off painting the rocker covers today. And pretty much, most of the engine should look complete today. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all in the next one. See ya.